And welcome! All 3 mobs have been revealed for Minecraft Live's 2021 mob vote, and this year is probably one of the best we've ever had. Every mob adds a unique feature into the game that we've never had before, and it's really awesome. The Minecraft dev team has really stepped up this year in the mobs they've added. This year there's no bad mob, which also makes it harder to pick a mob this year, so that's why this video I'm going to go through each mob and tell you why you should vote for every single one of them. And my opinion will be at the end of which one I'm voting for. I want you to pick the one you want to vote for first, though. You know, I don't want to be like swayed by any YouTubers like what happened last year. But let's get into it. Let's start with the glare and let's go. Okay, let's go through all the reasons why you should add the glare into Minecraft. The glare is a flying mob that's green and will probably spawn in the lush cave biome if it does spawn underground. It might spawn on the surface, who knows? We don't know where it will spawn. But its ability or unique feature is that it will fly to areas that are dark and will grumble at you, basically. It gets pretty annoyed. It's like, this area is dark. What are you doing? You need to light this area up. And then the glare will be happy. And this is cool because you can bring it to your base and, you know, it can tell you where there's, you know, dark patches that you may not have seen. And because it flies as well, if you have somewhere high up that you maybe like didn't realize was a spawning space, it will fly up there and start grumbling at you like, oh, mobs can spawn up here. So that's really good because, like, if you don't want creepers or skeletons spawning, that could like end your Minecraft world, especially if you're in hardcore. You know, it's really good for that. Also, the huge caves that now spawn into the world, these absolutely massive caves, you know, help you light up those because it will tell you like, oh, this mobs can spawn over here and here. And this is really also good for Bedrock players if you're playing on Bedrock version, because you don't have the F3 screen. On Java, you can just press F3 and like see the light level, but on Bedrock you can't. So it's good for like, you're not quite sure if the light level's right. You know, it can be really useful for those kind of players on the other devices like the mobile and all the Bedrock edition players. You know, it can be really good for that. I'm trying to think of other things that you can be useful. It's a little green flying head thing. You know, looks like Oscar the Grouch. You know, everyone's saying that. It does sort of look like Oscar the Grouch's head just like flying around. You know, it's green. It flies. You know. Another flying mobs, or well, we know the fandom was like a flying mob, and everyone doesn't like that. But another flying mob is really cool to add to the game. You know, it's interesting, kind of like I love how like all 3 of the mobs this year are fantasy mobs, which is really awesome. So each one has that tick in the box. Like it's a helpful mob, it's a fantasy mob added to the game. So it's like by fantasy, it's like mobs that like aren't real things. Like we're not getting a variation of the cow or a different coloured squid, or, a new pillager type, like last year. Like last year, having the 3 mobs be the same kind of, like, mobs but just reskinned. This year, we're actually getting different kinds of mobs. So, I think that's it for the glare. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, next mob up is the Allay, or as I like to call it, the Nice Vex. The Nice Vex will, if you give it an item, go around and pick up all the other items. And on Twitter, the Minecraft devs said that the Allay will not, like, duplicate items or like break blocks or anything. It's just going to pick up items that are the same as when you give it. So if you're mining cobblestone and you give it a cobblestone, and it will pick up all the ones that you've dropped behind you, that's what it'll do. So this will be really good for like raids, like where the Vexes actually are. The Nice Vex, you can give it a toad of undying, it'll pick them all up, or an emerald, and like all the emeralds that they've dropped, anything like that, would be really cool to like have the mob do. It'd be cool if the mob's like a lot up in the air because we don't know how it'll work. If like you give it like a cobblestone, it'll go over to the note block and drop the cobblestone. Will it drop all the cobblestone and it'll need a new block? We have to give it a new block every time. Like if it has like a small inventory, let's say like 1 stack, you give it 1 cobblestone, it picks up a stack of cobblestone, flies over, drops it, comes back to you. Do you need to click it again, or can it just keep going and going? If it can keep going, and if it's got a huge range as well, the mob is going to probably be, like, the most useful mob out of the 3, like, in terms of, like, what it does. And it's got like, a lot of usefulness in it. Like, I feel like it's a very much early, mid-game, even maybe late game, if you can, like, get a load of them and, like, have them all have different items and just pick them up, It'd be cool if, like, I wonder how you tame it. I wonder if, like, you have, like, one on your shoulder like a parrot, and, or it follows you around, and you, like, turn around, you just like give it an item, it'll like fly around, and like hopefully also it like flies through walls like a Vex, because it looks like a Vex. I feel like it should fly through walls the same, so that way you can just like easily get items so it'll get stuck. So I feel like a small mob like that will get stuck maybe on like blocks and stuff, or like in a tree, and like, oh no, what can it do? If it just can like It's like, oh, there's an item there, and it gets stuck on a tree, you know. Or it gets stuck in a cave, and it's like, oh no, it's like falling in the cave. It can fly, which obviously helps with that. But, you know, it's cool, because it's another flying mob. It's another unique mob. Each mob is obviously unique, and adds in something that we've never had before. The ability to, like, pick up crops and stuff. No more water streams, no more stuff like that. It's really awesome. And it's going to be interesting to see where it spawns. Because in the trailer, we don't know if that's, like, you know, anything. Because all 3 mobs were, like, in the same area. But we don't know. It could spawn in the end. It could spawn in, like, a flowery biome. Like a sort of fairy type creature. It's really interesting, like, how it could be implemented. That's the main thing with that, the Allay. The Allay's, like, got a lot going for it. If it's, like, implemented really well, and the way people are thinking it's going to be implemented, it's going to be, like, the best mob. It depends how it's implemented. If it's not implemented completely correctly, I feel like, or the way people are thinking it's going to be, it might not be as good as it is. So, bit of, like, pro and con here for this mob. I feel like this mob is really interesting, though. It's really interesting and really, like, oh, it could just be such a, you know, interesting mob to, like, add. You know, the picking up of items is, like, so interesting to, like, see how I wonder how it could be redstone eyes. I wonder how, like, redstone could do this. I wonder how, like, how it could work. It's interesting to see that. Okay, and let's move on to the next mob. Okay, the final mob, the copper golem. It's a mob you can actually craft yourself. So the copper golem can be crafted by you, the player. If you have leftover copper, just, like, make a copper golem. I'm sure it'd be similar to an iron golem in the amount of copper you'll need. So maybe, like, 2 blocks and a pumpkin. Or we don't know the recipe yet. But this mob is interesting because it's the only mob that also gets a block with it, which will be the copper button, which will probably look really nice for builds and stuff. I feel like this is the builder mob. I feel like the builders will definitely want this mob. Like, this mob will definitely be the builder one, the one that builders really like, because it adds that button. Ooh, any new block, you know, builders like, yeah. And redstoners, you know, this is probably the true random, like, thing in Minecraft, like a randomizer. Adding in this mob, this is why you'd want it. Like, you want it for the randomizer. It's a cool little robot. It's another reason you'd probably want it. The fact that it oxidizes is so cool. I love that, like, feature about it. Like, the fact that you can, like, get more rusty over time. I really like that feature of the mob. I feel like that's really smart. It's really smart. And it also makes it different from the iron golem. Like, the iron golem, you know, iron golem doesn't, like, rust. It just, like, it's this big, tanky guy, fights mobs for you. This guy's a little worker guy who, like, presses buttons, runs around. You know, his head was spinning. You know, he's like a little, you know, wind-up toy. It felt like a very wind-up toy type deal with that little copper golem. You know, he's so cute. He's so, like, you know, like, he's just like, and then he just rusts. It's really sad. It's sort of sad, isn't it? You know, I'm sure you'll be able to wax him with the what's it called? You know, with an axe, you'll be able to de-wax him and make him young again, so he'll be able to move around. But he's also sort of a block. The fact that he can become a statue, you can have, like, a statue of a copper golem standing, you know, and you can line them up and make that look so cool. It'd be interesting to see if, like, maybe, like, when they rust at a certain point. Like, if they're, like, running when they rust, they, like, freeze running, or they all just freeze in the same stationary position. That'll be interesting to see if that gets added that way. It all depends on how it's added as well, you know. It doesn't add too much redstone. It's a sort of I'd say builder redstone mob. It is a sort of randomizer, but you can have, like, a chicken and a pressure plate as a randomizer, because the chicken will randomly walk in the pressure plate, the same as, like, having a button that it randomly presses. And if it rusts, it's sort of not good for redstone, because it can, like, run out at some point, which is, you know, also probably a downside maybe. But it's interesting though. It's got a lot of things that, like, you could really, you know, see in the game, like having the statues, an actual statue in the game. I have nothing like a statue in the game. Only thing like a statue is armor stands, and it'd be cool to have, like, some armor stands. Like, you know, you have your diamond armor, and then you have these copper statues. You know, it'd be really cool if you had your base and you had, like, all these guys running around and they all freeze, like, in random areas all over your base, like. It's sort of like, oh wow, it's like a ruined city almost, like a Pompeii. Like, you go in there and, like, wow, all the people are just frozen where they got frozen. And it'd be really cool if you could use the axe to, like, bring them back to life. So you go into your friend's base after a while and, like, he's, like, not been playing for a while, or Yeah, or anyone's been like offline, or you've been like offline, and like all your copper guys are frozen, and you're like, oh wow, they're all frozen. And you like unfreeze them all, and you'd be like, oh wow, they're all live again. It's great. Okay, so that's all 3 mobs, and now we're going to talk about my mob, which one I want to see added to the game. Let's go. And I think you should choose which mob you like the best. I don't think you need to decide on what YouTubers say, you know. It's all good. You should just pick the one you like the best. I feel like the Allay is probably the one that everyone likes the most. I've heard, like, from looking at everyone's comments and stuff, and everyone's like, everyone seems to be wanting to vote for the Allay. You know, the item pick and stuff, everyone seems to like that a lot, and think like, oh, that's the best mob, you know? It's what I think everyone's will vote for. You know, but they all add in something unique, and this year I'm really happy with every single mob, and I'm not going to be sad if any one of them wins, you know? The glare's ability to, like, go to dark places and tell you it's not lit up, you know, that's great for Bedrock players who don't have the F3 screen, it's great for Java players. The Allay picking up items, you know, can really help you out. Like, you know, you go to the end with the Shulker's shells, you know, in the end city, that's going to be really good. You know, the Copper Golem, its ability to, like, freeze, its ability to, like, run around and be, like, a little friend for you, you know, pressing buttons randomly, it's like, you know, little, you know, awesome pet. They're all, like, cool pet mobs adds to the game. So the one I want to vote for is the Copper Golem. I feel like that's the one I like the best, you know. It's a little robot sort of guy. I like that guy. Really like Star Wars and stuff. My skin is the Mandalorian, so I do love Star Wars, so I do love like a sort of droid-like type guy. Yeah, I love that little guy. He's such a little, you know, cute robot. He reminds me of a droid, like an R2-D2, like just pressing buttons and stuff. He's really awesome. The other 2 mobs, though, I think the Allay is just, you know, the one people are going to pick. I just keep thinking that. I feel like I have it, like, I know that everyone's going to pick the Allay, but I love the Copper Golem. I feel like the Copper Golem is such a cool, you know, interesting mob I really want a mob, like all the mobs who lose to like be added in a future update. I really hope that they have like a loser update at some point for all the mobs and biomes and things that lost the votes in the past, you know, and like all the lost mobs like getting added to the game. You know, I really want that. Like, I really want them to like add them in, because I feel like it would be so good to see all these like, you know, amazing, because these are really good ideas this year. Like the glare, the Allay, and the Copper Golem were all unique ideas that, you know, we really need in the game. Like, so, you know, more unique ideas and unique mobs, adding stuff in, like, to the game, you know? It's really cool, you know? And it's really awesome. And I just want to say thank you all for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this.